Hey, we're here with Christian Andersen, who just got top 32 at YCS Lyon.
Yeah, so I played the Tear Ishizu deck, pretty standard list, and I'll take you through it for the one person that cares about this format, I guess. I played 3 Rhino, 3 Sharon, 3 Merle, 3 Havness, and 3 of the Castira. I think you have to max out on the names. My approach to the mirror was, instead of like playing more non-engine cards in the main deck, I just preferred to have more like good mills in my deck. So I played 40 with only 3 non-engine slots, and I just prioritized like having always good mills, and it won me most of my games. I think you have to max out on this card because it's another Havness, and like the thing that's broken in your deck is like activate this, hit a miller against anything, or also in the mirror if they've already used a couple of names or like a couple of the shufflers, it's okay to mill. Like on average you'll get more value out of it anyway, so you can like catch up, so to speak. And yeah, even when I went second in the mirror, most of the time I still just won, even if they had the Dweller. So it was really strong. And of course it's also another miller, so it gets names engraved in 2 separate chains, which plays around pistols and shufflers, which is pretty good. Then I played the full Ishizu package, all 12, they're broken. And then I played the orange side, of course. So my logic with this was like, of course I want to hit these cards, and I think you need all 6 of these to win the mirror, and they're also okay to start with. Like every single card here is pretty good. Even in the mirror, drawing this is okay because you can reuse it to make like a free rank 4, so you can make it pretty early Dweller, which is pretty nice. And of course against Rogue, these cards are insane, and it synergizes really well with playing, like maxing out on this. Like a lot of times if I went second, like in top 32 I went second against the Flu, and I activated this, just banished a card from hand, because I knew if I hit anything, it's of course worth it. So I just try to make it happen as often as possible. And of course the orange light is still really, really strong. Even post side, I think if you're playing the mirror, you can do something like keep the kill back, and then it's still enough names for it to be relevant. And if you play against something else, you can like I would sometimes even take out all shufflers if my opponent's deck was like Castira or Flu or something like this, and I would still keep the orange light because it's still like 50% chance if you draw it to see it with one of these, and if you do, it's insane. Yeah, these cards are really good. I'm gonna miss them. Then of course these 5, and a little bit less obvious, I guess, 2 Scream, 2 Soliak. Soliak gets a lot better with the Castira out, because if you mill Soliak with like Havness or something like this, or if they mill it for you, you can grab the Castira and then you can banish the Soliak to summon it to mill 3. So like it's not like Havness where they can like try to play around it. You can just do it whenever you want, and you can also save it for your own turn and just use it like a starter. So it's like it's way better in more game states, so it's really strong. And then for my only non-engine card, I played 3 Impermanents. It was just the most generic. I didn't want to main deck Bestials. I didn't want people to take my Magnum Moods, and I couldn't find space. Like I wanted to play these 37 cards and nothing more, and there was space for 3 cards, so I was like, okay, 3 Impermanents. It was generic and it worked. Side deck, I played the best level 2 extender, 3 Lancia, 2 Talents, mainly for going first, but also in some matchups like Flu or Castira you can side it in going second, and it's not the worst. 3 Dark Ruler. This could be Book of Eclipse, but I preferred Dark Ruler because it also could hit Sprite, and it came up for me in my bubble match where I played against Sprite, and game 2 I just Dark Rulered him, cleared his whole field, and then I won 2-0. That was nice. And I played the 4 best Bestials. So 3 Magnum, 1 Baldrake, just post side. Going first or going second in the mirror, I just put these in because if they mill on your turn, it's really nice to have the Magnum Wood. So yeah, these were pretty good. I will say though, I think in retrospect, I think it would have been better to maybe try to find room for 3 Nibiru and 3 Super Poly, and play both in the main deck, because then your opponent cannot they cannot play around both in the mirror match at the same time, and it also has some coverage against Castira, which was like the 2nd most represented deck in Top Cut. I thought about doing it before the tournament started, but I ended up just playing something I was more comfortable with. But I think it would have been better, and I think matches would have been faster, which is a problem for this deck. It can take a while to play. And then the last 2 cards was Prime, and Heartbeat. So I played almost no back row removal because I was not expecting many people to play back row. And then for the extra deck, played 2 Kit, 1 Kaleido, 1 Rukelis, 1 Mud Dragon, 1 Garur, 1 Stapelia, 1 Dweller, 1 Bagushka, 1 Redoer, 1 Zeus, Elf, Sprint, Oza, and Dark. And I think these are all pretty self-explanatory. I guess you could ask why no second Zeus, and I would say good players or some players will take this because they're afraid of Super Poly anyway, and then you still get to keep the Zeus. And I will also say that I think maybe playing 2 Kit is a mistake. We were discussing this before the tournament, and I think, like thinking back on it, I think we should have cut one of the Kit Killers for a Water Charmer, which is what I wanted to do. Because I think if you're playing against the Castira deck, they will see that you play 1 Kit, and then they have 1 Kit, 1 Mud Dragon, 1 Zeus, and 1 Kaleido Heart to choose between, which is really hard. So if you consider like how they lose if you clear their board, right? So at that point, they like, if you can play, so you need the Kit, it doesn't really matter because you can't play unless you break the board. So they shouldn't take the Kit anyway. They should take like one of the other 3. And then there's not that much reason to play 2 Kit, and I think having the Water Charmer for the utility in the mirror would be better because you can take both Rhino and the Castira, and you also play both Rhino and the Castira. So you can make it more often and you can take more stuff. So like you can make Water Charmer, take your opponent's Rhino and send a name, and then you can make Sprint afterwards. So like a Water Charmer by itself could trigger 2 different names, which is of course really strong. So I think if I were to change something, I would cut Imperm, cut Bestials, try to make room for Nip Super Poly in the main, and I would cut 1 Kit for the Water Charmer. And I think, one comment also on deck size, I decided to play 40 in spite of playing Tier Element, because I did not want my opponents to think I was playing Tier, because I figure the other 3 decks in the format are Castira, Sprite, and Flowandreese, and none of these decks should ever play above 40. So my reasoning is like, I don't want to give away the free information in the mirror in game 1, because it can change how comfortable they are with milling you, like if they'll have access to a shuffler before or not. So I think if you say that you play more than 40, you're basically just telling your opponent you're playing Tier Element, and I didn't want them to have the free information for when they would mill. But yeah, that's the deck. It performed really well. Unfortunately, I lost out in top 16, top 32. I got pretty unlucky with a situation, but it happens. So I'm still happy to have my first top, and yeah, thanks for the profile.
All right, cool, congratulations.
Thank you.